Hi, I'm Prajwal Sharma here, and I'm making this video as part of IEP course at the PGPM IIM Tiruchirappalli. So the topic I've chosen is the agrarian distress and the low farmers' income. India's agricultural nearly employs 44% of its workforce, however contributing to the marginal 18% to its GDP only. This reflects a structural imbalance in the Indian economy, highlighting the issue of the agrarian distress. Particularly at its core, it is not just an agricultural issue, it is a problem of the low productivity and the income disparity. Why I said the low productivity? Because India touts itself as one of the major or the largest food grain producer in the world. So agrarian distress can be understood as the situation of the low and volatile farmer income, rising input cost, and the higher exposure to the risk. Despite achieving the record agricultural output, the sector suffered from the income disparity, insecurity, and the inefficiency in its resource allocations. So, when I dig deeper in the causes which are leading to the agrarian distress, we find that there are disgust unemployment leading the surplus labor absorbed in the agriculture, lowering down the marginal productivity. Then there remains the fragmentation of the land holdings, which prevents the economy of scale and the economy of scope and limits the capital intensive and the use of the technology driven farming. Then there remains market and the price distortion, particularly due to the presence of the unorganized sector and the unorganized intermediaries like what we call the Arathiyas, what the economic survey has pointed out. Then there remains the input cost and the subsidy distortion, predominantly coming from the power subsidies and the water subsidies, leading to the soil degradation and the environmental pollution, reducing down the productivity in the real longer term. Then there remains the infrastructure bottlenecks. There we find the inadequacy of the cold storage, warehouses, inadequate connectivity between the three Fs, what as the several economic survey has cited, three Fs basically ranging from farm, factory, and the folks, the last mile consumer. Then there remains that all leads to the post-harvest loss. So some survey and some reports cited that nearly 33 or 35 to 40% of the agricultural produce lost due to the inadequacy of the infrastructure. Then ultimately there remains the climate vulnerability. Indian agriculture still depends largely on the monsoonal rain for its water intake, and then leading the climate change is equally, if not more, harming the Indian agriculture. So, when I cite the solution for all the problem and how can we as a society or the Indian come over the agrarian distress, there are a few solutions pointed out by several reports, several agrarian policymaker like Mr. Ashok Gulati. Then the survey, we find some solution like labor reallocation. We must need to shift the surplus labor from the agricultural side to the some other side. Predominantly MSME and the manufacturer sector can really help here. When Prime Minister and the Indian government has launched Make in India mission, the manufacturing sector was seen as the major absorber of the surplus labor from the agricultural. Then we need the aggregation of the capacities in the agricultural sector. FPOs driven by the Ministry of Cooperation, which was formed in the 2019 by the Indian government, union government predominantly. That FPO, farmer producer organization, can help in the creating the aggregation and the increasing the cumulative power. It would in turn leading to the enhanced bargaining power, what we saw in the cases of like Amul and the Nandani, basically the cooperative. Then there remains direct income support. There has been a lot of debate about the universal basic income or the minimum basic income. So direct income support in terms of what we saw in the Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, which was launched in 2019, January or February, that can really help here. Then ultimately we need the market reforms because there remains the opacity in the agrarian market. E-NAM, National Agricultural Market, has been the step in the right direction for the improving price discovery. Ultimately, we need the crop diversification because that would be leading to the high value agricultural such as horticulture or the pulses. So, in conclusion, agrarian distress is not a short term issue but a structural challenge rooted in economic inefficiency and the institutional gaps. Addressing it requires a transition from the production centric agricultural, what India is really pursuing right now, to an income centric agricultural framework. Such a shift is essential for achieving the inclusive and sustainable economic growth in the India, and particularly in the Indian agrarian sector, which is still accounting for the 44 or 45% of its Indian workforce. Thank you.